Hey friends, welcome to Pastor Kevin and Friends. Thanks for jumping in and joining us today. I want to tell you a story today about kindness. Now, our guest today on Pastor Kevin and Friends is Mr. Notepad. Yes, he's a very special friend because he lets us see who Jesus is and what Jesus wants us to do. Now, we're going to talk about a woman in the Bible that showed kindness. And I think this is part of the of the golden rule, to love God, to do to others as you would have them do to you. And when we do to others as we would have them do to us, we are fulfilling the great commandment and the second commandment, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. In the Bible, we have a woman by the name of Ruth. Yes, there's a whole book in the Bible entitled by her name. It's only 4 chapters. It doesn't take a long time to read, and maybe your parents could read it to you. But Ruth is a very important book in the Bible. Do you realize without the book of Ruth in the Bible, it would be ruthless? Well, anyway, kindness, that's what we're going to talk about today. Ruth was a married woman, and in her life, something terrible happened. Her father-in-law died. That means the man that she was married to, his dad passed away. And all of a sudden, her mother-in-law, Naomi, was without a husband. But if that was bad, her brother-in-law also died. And if that wasn't bad, her husband died. So we got Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah all without a husband now. And what are they going to do? Naomi, the mother-in-law, says, hey, you girls, why don't you go back to your homeland? And Orpah does that. She's out of the picture. But we've got Ruth. And Ruth says, no, I'm going to go with you, Naomi. And wherever your people are, they will be my people. And your God will be my God. And she begins to show kindness to Naomi. Well, God recognized that kindness and blessed her. When they got to Naomi's land, they needed food. And what were they going to do for food? Since they didn't have husbands, they didn't have much money. They went and they found what they called gleanings. Gleanings were the parts of the crop that were cut and left over, and that people that didn't have much, they could come and they could collect those things, and it would give them food to eat. Now, the people that made these gleanings, they would go out and they would work in the heat of the sun. Yeah, the sun was out and it was shining down on those people, and it was hot. So she would go out and she would gather this and help her mother. And the people, when they would cut these things, they would use what was called a sickle. A sickle was a really long and sharp knife. And I don't know, I wasn't there, but they would use them and they would cut that and it would be laying around. Now, there was a particular man that worked there, and he was a very good man. He was a wealthy man. He didn't have a wife either. But he went up to her and he says, hey, Ruth, when you go and get these gleanings, when you go and get this food, don't go and take the stuff that's left over. I'll have my workers leave some just for you. But don't you dare go over to the hills and get it. And don't go down to the valleys and get it. Stay right here, and my people will take care of you. So that's what she did. And because of the kindness Boaz showed her, she decided, I'll show him some kindness. And so she took and made a meal. And she had a couple of plates for them to eat from. And they ate, and they had a good time fellowshipping with each other. Ruth was happy, and everything was going well. But here's one of the great things that happened. Well, there was a little problem. Ruth was supposed to marry her closest relative, who was related to Boaz. And when Boaz went to him and says, hey, do you want to marry her? He says, no, you can have her. So what really completed the picture was that Boaz and Ruth were married, and he was a ruler, and he was in charge, and he was able to take care of her. But after they got married, something else great happened. They had a baby. And that baby, they gave the name of Obed. Obed, come on, paper. Obed became the father of Jesse. And Jesse later on had a son by the name of David. And do you remember what David did? What did David do? He took care of a problem his people had. He got rid of a giant, which is a story for another time. Bye-bye.